Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Hot Mess Podcast. I am your host Matilda Johnson and today we're going to get messy. I should say tonight actually. I am recording this at 12:32 a.m. I don't know why I'm awake. I'm very awake right now. I haven't had coffee. Maybe I should sleep. I haven't had caffeine in a few hours. Had dinner like a hot minute ago. I just can't sleep. My head's full of thoughts. It's just one of those nights. I know on the last few episodes we've kind of gone a little bit deep, and tonight is just not the night for that. I'm just in a silly, goofy mood. I'm going to annoy the shit out of you guys in this episode. I'm so sorry. I already know it. But of course, before we get into today's episode, I'm going to be talking about my weekly wrap. So, what's on my TikTok feed? I'm loving TikTok right now. So my TikTok feed might be different to yours, but I know a lot of my friends have the same trends going on right now. But my favorite thing is seeing Black children reacting to seeing the new Little Mermaid trailer for the first time. And it is so wholesome and heartwarming, and I cry without fail every single time, like hearing them say, "She looks like me" and stuff. Oh, it's so gorgeous. And I feel like as a white person, I've never had to struggle with representation in film and media and TV shows, or even at theater, everything. So I think for it to become I think with movies like The Little Mermaid, where it's Disney, and Disney is obviously the biggest the biggest platform for children's movies and TV shows, it's so important for little kids to be able to see themselves in a princess, for instance, because prior to this, they've I'd say children of color, they've had very limited options with that. They've had Tiana from Princess and the Frog, Moana, fabulous movie, Mulan, Pocahontas, but even so, I wouldn't say I love the movies like Mulan, Moana and stuff, but they were never the featured Disney princesses, you know what I mean? It was always Cinderella, Snow White, if you know what I mean. And now that I'm thinking about it, were they even technically princesses? Wait, is Moana? No, Moana is a princess, isn't she? I need to double check this. I haven't watched it in a hot minute, but now I'm thinking about it, I really want to watch it again. The music in that slaps so hard. But I don't think Mulan was a princess. She was just a badass. But I'd rank being a badass above being a princess, especially in this day and age. It's probably what we want to encourage in our kids anyway. But yeah, it's really good to finally have representation also in a live action film. And I feel like there are so many people why does Ariel have to be black? I'm well, firstly, she's a fish. It doesn't matter. That's like saying, why is Sully in Monsters Inc. blue? He's a monster. What do you mean? Ariel's literally a fish human. I don't think the color of her skin matters at all. I mean, it definitely doesn't affect the plot. And also, when you think about it, being a mermaid, and as far as we know, it's in a very tropical part of I'm not a marine biologist. I don't know a lot about the ocean, but there's turtles and coral fish. So we're assuming it's a pretty tropical area where Ariel lives. So she could be in the Caribbean. Do you guys say Caribbean or Caribbean? I always get lost on that one. But you know what I mean? I don't think her skin color matters, and geographically it could matter. You know what I mean? It's how many times have we seen misrepresentation in movies, or just absolutely abominable casting choices? I'm thinking about Rooney Mara as Tiger Lily in the movie Pan. I'm pretty sure that came out in 2015. I think I was in high school when that came out. I remember seeing it, and it was a huge controversy at the time, as it should have been, but I don't think it caused as much of an uproar as it probably would now. Unfortunately, I feel that was only 7 years ago. I don't know. The math isn't mathing. I'm too tired for that. But you know what I mean? That wasn't that long ago. and we're having like those kinds of issues with terrible casting. And Johnny Depp in The Lone Ranger, like, can we discuss that? Like, are you serious? Like, who thought? No, like, no, terrible. Or Emma Stone in the movie Aloha. I don't think I've seen either of those movies, like The Lone Ranger or Aloha, but you know what? Going to boycott them for the misrepresentation of those movies. And like, you think about some of the classics as well. I mean, is it Natalie Wood who is in West Side Story as Maria? I'm an old theater kid, I should know that, but like, maybe I'm trying to block it out of my memory, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, it's been going on for centuries? No, not centuries. Film has not been around that long. But you know what? Like, it's been around a very, very, very long time. And thank fuck, finally the industry is changing, and I think Disney is the first place where it should start. I think it should start in children's films, so that children can grow into a world where everyone is represented equally. And hopefully we continue that into adult films. You would think that we would have done that already, but apparently not. But regardless, I'm super excited for the new Little Mermaid. Halle Bailey's voice is so gorgeous. Like, the first time I saw the trailer itself, I cried, and then every time it pops up on my TikTok feed now, I'm just like, I'm sobbing. I'm so excited. And the cast looks just amazing. Like, they've got some brilliant actors in the movie. So I'm really excited to see what they do with it. What am I watching? Okay, so kind of what inspired today's episode. So I've just paused and started recording. So I'm watching Heartbreak High on Netflix. And I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy this. To be honest, like, I'd seen a lot of ads for it. It kept popping up on my suggested to watch on Netflix, or like coming soon, whatever it was. Maybe it got released today. Not entirely sure. And then today when I was leaving work, I literally saw it flash up on a billboard outside Flinders Street Station. And I was like, wait, damn, like, this is some good... Oh my God, my nose hurts. Sorry. I was like, damn, this is some good subliminal messaging that they're trying to put out there, because it's working on me, and now I suddenly want to watch it. And prior to that, I'd looked at the ads and I was like, I don't know if it's really for me. But now I'm watching it, and I'm only 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the second episode, and I'm hooked. And it's inspired today's episode because, like, there's so much tea, but it's so realistic. So it's basically, I'd describe it as the Australian version of Sex Education. You know, it's about being a teenager and hookup culture, sex, drama of like high school. I mean, well, that's only what I've seen so far, like first episode and then 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the second one. But it is so good. It's literally Sex Education, Aussie edition, mixed with, do you guys remember the movie Hating Alice and Ashley, and it had Delta Goodrem in it? It's reminding me of that, but like set in nowadays. And well, obviously it's probably just reminding me of that because it's an Aussie movie with Delta Goodrem in it and similar kind of energy, if you will. But it's so good, and it's reminded me so much of my high school experience, which is what we're going to be talking about today. But I'm just really enjoying the show so far because like they use a lot of, like, the way they talk is literally how high schoolers talk, which is why I'm like, okay, I can get into this because it seems legit, you know, it's adding up. They are talking about eshays, and it's very Australian culture. Like, there's eshays, and oh my God, they literally use the term tongue punch in the fart box. I haven't heard that term in ages, and I was like, that is the most Aussie thing to say. Mum, if you're listening, that means eating ass, just so you know. Maybe I don't think this show will be for you, Mum, but it's a good one. Highly recommend to everyone else. My favorite celebrity of the week, I really don't know, which is probably a good thing. Maybe I just don't have one. I'm enjoying a lot of Fashion Week stuff that's going on, like Little Nas X's, did I call him Little Nas X's performance. Anna Wintour looked like she did not know what to do during that, which I found just hilarious. Loved that. I'm kind of just keeping up with Fashion Week right now, so whatever's going on there. Lil Nas X, maybe they're my number one celeb. Yeah, all right, let's just move on. I don't think there's much more for the weekly wrap. I'm recording not long after the last episode went out, so I don't think I've got much more to report. So let's just jump into today's episode. So I think in previous episodes, obviously, I've touched on different high school experiences, like when I started having anxiety and dealing with mental health and like my first big like hookup experience, but we're getting into the dramatic side and how dealing with that was super fun. Honestly, like, people say high school is the best time of your life. I don't know whether or not to agree with that. Like, the partying, yeah, lots of fun. The social life, yeah, lots of fun. Would I say it was the best time in my life? Absolutely not. Because I look back on it, firstly, I cringe with some of the stuff. Like, it's cute. Like, it's funny. We can laugh at it. But also, like, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't want the drama from high school to be, like, in my adult life, you know? The partying and social life, yeah, love to have that back. But everything else, I'm like, no, that can go. I feel like recording this is going to be really funny as well because I'm really close with a lot of my girlfriends from high school. Not so much the guys. Like, if I were to see the guys who I went to high school with, I don't have bad blood with them. I just don't think I was relatively, like, close with them. But I know for sure that, like, the girls who I'm friends with now also listen to the podcast, and, like, they're the same girls who I might have had some drama with back in high school. Maybe I'll talk about it. Will you guys have a laugh with me? I won't expose people. Like, I'll just be like, how funny is this situation? Is that mean? I'll call you guys first, don't worry. I've seen a lot of people doing this on TikTok recently as well. It's mostly, like, people from all girls or all boys schools being like, how shit is, like, this situation, how fucked and toxic is, like, private schooling. And I'm like, well, I went to public school my entire life. When I was moving schools to start year 11, 12, my parents did offer to send me to boarding school or to a private school, but I'm glad that I ended up remaining public. Just because I think, like, moving schools was hard enough to begin with. I don't think I could have handled moving to a different town and becoming a boarder. You know what I mean? I don't know. That would have been hard. Side note, I hate this weird divide that people have between, like, well, I went to private school or I went to public school. And I didn't really experience that till I moved to Melbourne. And it was like, well, we've all finished high school, but people will still be like, what school did you go to? And I'm like, well, what does it matter? Like, we're studying the same course. Like, I don't really give a shit what your ATAR was because we're doing the same subjects or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, when you're in your 20s, what does it matter, like, if you went to a public or private school or if, like, what ATAR you got? Like, oh my God, ATAR literally doesn't matter once you're out of high school or, like, studying. I mean, I ended up getting into the course I wanted and I didn't really need an ATAR for it. I'm not saying my ATAR was very good. I kind of had a shit one and I know that I could have done better. I just didn't focus because I already knew I got into course I got into. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand why people in their 20s still care about that shit though. You know, I'm like, babe, it really doesn't affect you anymore. Sorry for my interstate or international listeners. Also, yay, we have international listeners. Woo! So ATAR, I guess, like, I think there's HSC in New South Wales, equivalent to that. In America, I guess it's like having a GPA. I don't know. I don't understand the American school system. Somebody needs to explain that to me because I just don't understand it. But anyway, yeah, I noticed a lot when I moved to Melbourne. A lot of people would ask me what school I went to. And firstly, I was also kind of like, well, I grew up in the country, so I don't know what you're expecting me to say. Like, I didn't travel up to Melbourne or board in Melbourne and go to, like, Melbourne, like, Girls College or whatever, or MLC or Loretto or Genazzano. I don't even know the names of them. There's so many. It's actually kind of crazy. But I also understand that it's also very much like a hierarchy kind of thing. And there are, like, a lot of my close friends from Melbourne went to, like, all girls schools. And it's very, like, I'm sorry guys, but it's so elitist, the behavior around it. Like, you need to sign your kid up by the time they're born to try to get them into the school you want them to go to, and you have to pay an exuberant amount of money. And for what? Like, I wouldn't say the education is 1,000 times better. Yes, you might have better connections to the universities that you want to go to. You might be able to do better networking. But I don't know, at the end of the day, I think high school really is about how you apply yourself as well. Like, you're not going to get far just off connections unless your daddy's pockets are deep, but that's another story. But anyway, me and my little public school ass are going to be talking about our little public school dramas, which is going to be super fun. This is really going to show how much of a country hick I must sound like. So the first high school I went to was in a town, very, very, very small population. The high school, I'm pretty sure, was population like 400 students. Like, that I am to a degree. Like, I hate to say it, hate to admit to it, because people, when you say that population 400 people, they're like, wait, what? And they do kind of like judge you off that a little bit. And you're like, no, like, we knew everyone, and it was like a good vibe, good culture. And like, the school was a really good school. They made sure everyone was accommodated to in terms of the education, and different needs were met. So yeah, it's just because I grew up in a small town, sorry. But then the second high school I went to was much bigger. First town vibe was very sports based. For instance, like, if you were good at sport, they placed you on this thing called the Academy of Sport, where they basically send you out to all the different sporting events in the region. So I was in the Academy of Sport. God knows why. I was an okay sprinter, and I was a pretty good swimmer. I was on the state swim team for the school, and the school did really well because they were so sports focused. But yeah, they would literally have us training every Friday, mostly in athletics. Like, they would have us running, doing sprints, doing different team activities. They also put me on the boys' soccer team, which was such a flex. I felt like she's the man, because I was like, I'm good at soccer, put me on the team. It's unfair that there's no girls' team. Like, it was, yeah, very she's the man of me. Was also like, I was captain of the girls' football team, won best on field for that. That was when I got scouted for the Victoria. Wait, what team was it? See, I don't even care about it enough to actually remember, but I got scouted for a ladies' football team after that. But it was definitely one of those towns where it's like, if you were not a football or netballer, you weren't really popular, because they were how people had social interactions in the town. And I didn't really play sports outside of school. Like, I only really did it within the school because it was kind of necessary, I guess. I danced outside of school. I played a couple of seasons of basketball. I swam almost all of my high schooling. I was a swimmer. I did a couple of years of gymnastics, but that's literally it. Like, gymnastics, basketball, swimming. I think I tried netball and I absolutely freaking hated it. And you know what? If you weren't a netballer, people did not give a shit about you. Like, being a netballer and footballer was how you were popular in school. So we can just come to the assumption I was not very popular there. And then my second high school, like, hierarchy was based on who you hung out with. And I discussed this in previous episodes. Like, I was determined to kind of change my persona and be like, well, I'm in with the cool crowd, I'm going to parties. Like, and it was also a bit of a fuck you to my old high school for like kind of that rejection I felt of not being popular literally based on what sporting activities I did. Like, when I tell you that's literally what it's based off, trust me, that's literally what it was based off. But yeah, so it was very much like partying, hookup culture, sex, drugs, rock and roll. I didn't do drugs though. I was very innocent, very scared. So I'd say the second high school for me is where all the fun really began and where all the drama really began. That being said, I was not going to leave my first high school without going out with a frickin' bang. So had a falling out with some of my girlfriends right before moving schools, which honestly turned out to be for the best because they never really tried to keep in contact with me once I moved, which really kind of proved to me that they weren't really good friends. You know, like, they never tried. Meanwhile, I was like crying on a staircase every night being like, nobody's talking to me, like my life sucks. Anyway, so right before I moved, found out that my like friend had hooked up with this guy and told my other friend. That was shitty of me. I should not have done that. In hindsight, I can look at that and be like, wow, that was a really shit move of me to like go and expose that. But then literally got bashed, like never been in a physical altercation in my life. And then suddenly the next day in the school halls, I was pinned down to the ground and literally had my hair ripped out of my head. Like, what? Like, excuse me? And also, one of the girls' parents was a teacher, so of course they didn't get in trouble for it. And the other girls' parents were big fundraisers for the school and often gave hefty donations, if you know what I mean. So of course they didn't get in trouble for that. And because I was moving schools, they told me, like the teachers said, oh, you'll get over it. You don't have to see them anymore, so it's fine. But of course, my deb was coming up. And if you're from a small country town, the deb is like the thing you look forward to. Because in public schools, at that public school, there was no like year 12 school formal stuff like that. So the deb was like the thing that you want to go to. It was what you always looked forward to. And luckily, the school invited me back to do the deb with the kids who I'd grown up with literally my whole life. I was shit scared of doing this because I was like, well, I've already had a falling out with people. But like I had a few close friends still in my corners. Shout out to Tom and Liam. Love you guys. They're literally my like best friends and they have been since I was 3 years old. But they had my back. And so I was partnered up with my bestie, Tom. And at my school, it was like a thing like you could wear colors to your deb if you wanted. But nobody coordinated that year. Well, at least not with me, like what everyone was kind of doing with their dresses. And I think usually they would make a group chat to make sure that no girls doubled up on dresses. So it was I was totally unaware of the fact that all the girls that year decided to wear white. Which kind of was fun for me because I like to, am I the drama? Maybe I'm the drama, but I showed up to the deb wearing a black dress and I was the only one wearing color. So, and meanwhile, all these girls are in white dresses and I walk out in my black dress and being like, Tilly no longer even goes to this school. And there's this great photo of Tom and I when he's like taking me down the staircase of the deb and like presenting me or whatever. Debs are so archaic, but anyway, he's like presenting me and he and I are just like smirking at each other because we're like, oh Jesus, like yeah, anyway, that was fun. Then after that, moved to my new school where it was like parties literally constantly. Like I felt really cool knowing within like the first week of me being there, I had started to get invited to parties and I had heaps of social interactions. My circle of friends, I say friends like in inverted commas because obviously I wasn't close to everyone, but like I was getting invited out. People wanted to socialize with me more. God, that makes me sound like such a loser. But along with partying came hookups and boys and drama. You know what? I'm gonna go find, I keep my diary with me from this point in my life because firstly, I'd be mortified if my parents found it. But maybe I'm just gonna like find it and see what drama I wrote down in there. Oh my God, I found it. I literally found it within 2 minutes of looking. Oh my God, it's like my body gravitated towards it. I am reading through it now and the drama, I am shocked. Hold up. I'm also really taken aback by how well written some of it is. Like, was she a poet? Who is she? I'm gonna read some of it. And you know, I feel like it actually highlights a lot of like, not like defining moments, but like big moments that you experience as a teenager. So let's share. I'm feeling like I'm gonna expose myself, but it's gonna be fine. Okay, the date is Wednesday, July 9th, 2014. Dear diary. So it has been a week and 1 day since the guy I liked, I'm not gonna say his name, asked me out. So I guess I have a boyfriend now. In my first diary entry, I complained about how crappy I am when in a relationship. I think I just get bored with people. That makes me sound horrible, but it's true. So-and-so, boyfriend and I have been friends for so long. I guess it's just the type of relationship where we think we owe it to ourselves to see if we're able to be more than friends, which is why I'm so scared that it'll end badly. You know what? She was kind of educated. She was trying to make a smart decision with this. I'm proud of young me. Oh my god, literally the next diary entry is about me getting pinned down to the ground and slapped. I'm not going to read that because I just told you guys about it, but anyways, moving on. Oh my god, the next one's so sweet. Wednesday the 23rd of July 2014. Dear diary, so yesterday was 4 weeks since boyfriend and I started dating, and believe it or not, we haven't kissed yet. It's driving me crazy, in all caps. I don't think I've ever longed for anything so much before. He's never kissed anyone before, so of course I want it to be special, but it's not like I've had a lot of experience either, and I want to be a good kisser for him. Yesterday, our year 10 class went on an excursion, and he sat with me on the bus on the way home. This is so pure. At the same time that I felt totally comfortable with him, it also feels like there's so much distance between us. When we sat together, we had a lot of physical distance between us as well. So we haven't even been holding hands. But when we talked, I spoke about all the things I love, and he opened up to me as well. And the look on his face was indescribable. I'm not sure if you'd describe it as a look of love, considering it's only been 4 weeks. But the way he looked at me surely felt close to it. No one has ever looked at me like that. Oh, poor girl. Poor girl. I'm skipping ahead a few entries because it starts to get juicy, and by juicy I mean tame, but it's just funny. We can laugh at this. July 30th. Oh my god, I can't even read my own handwriting. Dear diary, so tonight after dancing, I lied to mum and dad and said it finished at 8 p.m. when really it finished at 7. I did this because boyfriend had squash at 8, and so he walked me home and we just hung out for the whole hour. Despite the wind and rain, I really enjoyed our time together. When I got home, it turned out mum and dad figured out where I had been and asked if I needed to disinfect my mouth. Which is unnecessary considering we still haven't kissed. When I told them that, mum just said he must be shy. Oh god. Okay, this is where it gets sad. 8th of August 2014. Up until today, my week has been fabulous. I'll just move down. We had a family meeting tonight, and my dad informed me by the end of the year, mum, dad and I will be moving towns. It's one thing to move schools, but we're moving to a town 4 hours from the people and the town that I've grown up in and that I know and love. It's my home. What's worse than that is that I can't tell anyone until dad has officially finished signing some papers. He's wanted to do this job for years, so I know it's selfish of me to not want to move. But this town is my home. All the people that I care about reside within 30 minutes of me. I don't want to leave them. I don't want to do my deb or graduate without them. They're my family. I love them. Mum and dad keep trying to tell me about how good the opportunities in this town will be for me. Like it makes it any better. They say home is where the heart is, and my heart stays here with my friends. They're basically siblings because I've known them my entire life. Liam is moving towns as well. It's like we're leaving Tom behind. I mentioned them both earlier. I don't know what to do. I feel like a terrible friend. I don't know how to tell Tom. I don't know how to tell boyfriend. He needs to know I love him and I can't leave him. Oh, honey, I'm sorry, but you didn't. I'm sorry you didn't. In a diary entry, literally a week later, I tell the boyfriend that we're moving. And I didn't realize, but he told me he loved me that day. I have no recollection of this. Is that bad? Like, this would have been the first time a guy had ever told me that he loved me. And I don't remember this. I feel like that's something you should remember. I apparently said I love him back. And I'm very sorry to him, but like I have no memory of this happening, so that's very awkward. Oh my god, skip to September, and I'm talking about how he and I have had our 2-month anniversary and we still haven't kissed. And I start to get concerned he's shutting me out. He doesn't want to get attached to me because he knows I'm moving. That's kind of sad. That's sad. But then 10th of September, oh my god, not even a week later, we kiss. We finally kissed. Only took 2 months and 10 days. Jesus Christ. We were walking home from dancing, and before he had squash, and we were just talking, laughing, and hugging, and I just thought, oh, screw it. And it was just a quick peck, and it was really awkward because I was still holding all my dance stuff, and he was holding his squash racket. Okay, between the entry that I just read out and the new entry I'm about to read, he and I have had a breakup discussion, but we haven't broken up. We were just like, maybe doing long distance isn't a good idea for us because it'll strain our relationship and it'll make us resent not being able to see each other. Very smart of us. Anyway, it's now October 19th, 2014, and I'm at a party, and it is my first time at a party where people are drinking. Mum told me I wasn't allowed to drink, so instead I tasted everyone else's Smirnoff, Raspberry Cruiser, Pineapple Cruiser, and Pineapple UDL. It was so weird seeing other classmates drunk and seeing what they're like. At around 10:30ish, your girl kept track of the time at these things. Some slightly tipsy people thought it would be funny to make boyfriend and I walk off to make out. So we did for about an hour, and it was great. It was also really dark and we couldn't see what we were doing, so it was really awkward. We headbutted each other, he kissed my nose, and I accidentally bit him. I almost fell over. People walked in on us 3 times, so we had to find different places, and my hair got caught in his mouth a very unfortunate amount of times. He also accidentally touched my boob at one point, but I didn't mind. What makes this worse? I then go on to say, Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran was playing. It was romantic. Oh my god, so I've diarized like my first like couple of days at my new high school, and at the very bottom of the paragraph it says, boyfriend and I have been talking more and more about breaking up, so now every time Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran comes on, my heart breaks. I don't think I realized how much this song must have meant to me at the time. Maybe just, if you're around me, maybe just don't play that song. It might trigger something from within me that I didn't know existed. All right, here it is, 28th of November, 2014. Dear Diary, I knew it was coming. I just never knew when or that it would be so soon. He broke up with me. Oh my God. I just feel like I don't know how to feel anymore. I loved him and I still do. No, girl, no, you don't. It's okay. You actually didn't. All I want is closure. I'd heard from a few different people from throughout the week that he'd been flirting with another girl. I just feel like he betrayed my trust. So today, Mum, Dad, and I left Newtown and made it back to the old town in time for girl he's been flirting with going away party because she was an exchange student. Oh my God. I was so nervous about seeing everyone again, but once I got there, everyone hugged me and asked how I was, everyone except for him. So immediately I knew something was wrong. He hardly spoke to me for the entire night until I was about to leave and he asked to speak to me. This is at the local pub, by the way. Like, this isn't in like a private area. Of course, I knew what was about to happen. He pulled me into the doorway that leads to the bathrooms and didn't say much. This is how it went. Him. Yeah, nah, sorry. Me. I can't say I didn't see it coming. Him. We can still be friends. Me. That is such a cliche. Correct. Also, who breaks up with somebody by saying, yeah, nah? That was it. I just feel numb and worthless. Last week he was telling me that he loved me, and now I feel like he doesn't care about me at all. All I want to know is why and what changed. Oh, that's actually kind of sad. This Monday would have been our 6-month anniversary. Oh, okay. Oh, that's sad. Oh my God, this is actually really messed up. I do not remember this. The next day, 29th of November, I simply write, today he told me he didn't love me, never did. It was all just made up. That's fucked. Oh my God, I don't remember that. Probably blocked it out for a reason. Oh my God. But you know what? It gets better from here. I talk about like saying goodbye to the people who I genuinely loved and cared about. Like a lot of people who I did theatre with. Theatre people are just really good people. James Anderson, I know you listen to this. I wrote a really cute segment in here about how, so we were doing a chorus line at the time, and I told him that day, like on closing night of the show, that we were moving towns and we were singing What I Did for Love. And he played Gregory Gardner, the very flamboyant gay guy, and I was BB Benzenheimer. And so, like, those two characters are not meant to have any kind of, like, physical or, like, romantic or caring, nurturing relationship in any way, shape or form. They're literally meant to be strangers. But we were singing What I Did for Love, and apparently he just reached out and held my hand for the final show. Oh, that's really sweet. Anyway, shout out to you, James. Love you. You know what? I slay coming up though in this diary. Oh, I feel like I should publish this. No, I shouldn't. Nobody else cares. It's literally just me. But like, I moved schools. I start thriving within the community. Like, I create a great group of friends. I was in the school production and got chosen to sing a duet with the guy who was like the lead in the show at like the Carols by Candlelight kind of event that the town holds. And then I go on like, oh, this is probably my first guy drama in the new town. This holiday was my friend's party. I'll just say your name. Hi, Rhiannon. I know you listen. It was your party and it was really big. And a year 12 boy, I was in year 11. So a guy from the year above me kept trying to kiss me until a drunk friend of his, who I was also friends with, got protective and told him to piss off. Queen energy. Slay. The next night was another party at my other friend's house. And this guy came on to me. And this was my first experience of an very unwanted type of male attention. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but it was also my first interaction with a guy, like serious interaction with a guy since previous boyfriend from the previous story. And so I think it was not what I hoped anything with a guy would be in the near future, and it turned out to be quite bad. And I ended up leaving the party early and literally breaking into my home to get that. Anyway, we're fine. I then enter year 12, which for me is where the drama kind of kicked off more. Like, I feel like year 11 was tame, had a lot of growing pains, like had a lot of anxiety, was struggling in school because of that. But then like year 12 came along, I had a better social life and stuff like that. So the date is March 6th, 2016. And the night before, I had my first kiss with a guy who I had a bit of a crush on. My friends set me up with him and it was, yeah, good vibes. Good vibes all around. Moving on to April, I write, Dear Diary, it's currently school holidays and I haven't done much homework yet. Whoops. Anyways, since so-and-so's party, new guy and I kind of kept in contact for a bit in a flirtatious way, but he honestly confuses me so much. Oh, trust me, girl, you are in for a long ride. He kind of invited himself over to Rhiannon's house. Shout out Rhiannon again. When he knew I was going to be there, just so he could see me. And then one night, he sort of confessed that he wanted to kiss me again and possibly go even further. Ooh. I'm honestly okay with the idea. It's just that I don't want my first time to be a one-night stand. I'd rather it be with my boyfriend or something. And then my other friend told me that on the last day of term, he kept asking people... He kept asking people where I was as if he needed to talk to me, but since then, he hasn't even tried to contact me via Facebook or Snapchat, which kind of makes me assume that he is a fuckboy. Yeah. I then went on to write how I later got invited to another party where it was at like the private school people's place and there weren't many people from the public school there. It was just like a small group of my girlfriends and I. And by the looks of things, a few of the guys from the private school were interested in me. And it sounds like it was like my first time realizing that I was desirable. You know what I mean? Like suddenly I was like, wait, like people, like guys are attracted to me, and like probably went to my head a little bit. But like I tried to avoid the guys apparently because they kept playing S Club 7. So I had priorities, of course. But I said that having these guys like have like all my attention and stuff helped me get over a new guy a bit, but it also made me really mad at him and I can't explain why. Maybe it helped me realize that there's plenty of other guys out there who are attracted to me. I hope this makes new guy realize that now too. I need to look extra hot for the upcoming party to make him hate himself and make him realize that other guys like me as well. Okay. Girl, look, not the best way about going about things. If there's one thing I could say to my past self is that guys do not matter enough for you to go to all that effort. And like, I'm really upset that it did take like other guys like giving me attention to realize that I was desirable in any way. Like, that's kind of shitty. It does get dark again. I feel like year 12 obviously has its ups and downs for everyone. And I feel like when you're in an environment where there's a lot of drinking and a lot of people like discovering their sexuality and stuff, it can be a really slippery slope. I do document a moment where I am open about it because I'm like, it's happened to literally every woman I know, and it's the first time I was sexually assaulted. And like, I don't want to say it wasn't that bad, but like, I know of a lot of really terrible cases of assault. So I'm lucky that like I was sleeping over at a friend's house and woke up before anything bad happened. I'll just leave it at that. But I think that's like the hardest part about high school is trying to navigate like the highs and lows. And also when you're in environments like this that are so sexually driven and there's alcohol for the first time and you're young and like your brain's not fully developed and you probably shouldn't be drinking as much as you are, like it's so easy to find yourself in a situation like this. And that's not me saying it's on the people drinking. It should be taught in schools. Like it shouldn't even be taught. Like, I wish it was common sense, but it was very much like this is a guy's world. And I found that later on down the track, which we're going to get into as well, like how much of a guy's world this high school experience became. Unfortunately, like 2 diary entries later, I start having rumors made up about me about like things that are happening with me at parties, which weren't happening. So there started to become rumors about things guys were doing with me, like hooking up with me and all this other stuff, which really I was just honest to people and said this never happened. But it's really fucked up that like these rumors were created in the first place. And at the end of the day, it all came back down to the guy who had actually like made it up. And it wasn't just one guy. I'm looking at this party. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different guys who'd said I'd hooked up with them when I didn't. And I hadn't been drinking at this party, so it's not like I've blacked out and didn't remember it either. All these guys suddenly were like saying that I'd hooked up with them at a party, which also confused me because it's not like at that point in time I'd hooked up with heaps of people. You know what I mean? It's not like I had a reputation. People weren't going to be like, yeah, that's something Tilly would do. So I don't even now I'm kind of like, how did this begin for me? And even if I did have a reputation for hooking up with guys, it's just fucked up to make up those kinds of rumors in the first place. And firstly, sir, you look a little bit desperate if the only thing you can make up to make yourself look good is making up a lie about somebody else. You reek of desperation. Okay, slay. Okay, so it's June 27th. By this point, I'm 18, but I'm going back and rewriting stuff about the entire month. It was my bestie, Krisha. It was her birthday, her 18th birthday, the week before mine. And she and all my close girlfriends, Molly, Libby, Gemma, and Jess, we all went to Phillip Island to celebrate her birthday weekend in a cute little cabin. And that was probably one of the best weekends of my life. I had so much fun with those girls, and we have so many funny stories about that. I do want to keep some privacy, some memories like that private, but honestly, that was the best weekend of my life. Just going to Phillip Island with my girlfriends. Guys weren't involved at all in our situation there, and we could genuinely just have fun together. The power of female friendships, guys. But then I discussed my birthday party, and it was huge. I had a joint birthday with one of my friends, and we hired out a little hall in the middle of nowhere, which it shocked me that people even showed up because it was literally the middle of nowhere. And not only that, we ended up having heaps of gate crashes too, and we were like, who the hell are you? And how did you find this party in the middle of nowhere? But that was fun. I ended up hooking up with the guy again who I discussed earlier, who I was kind of infatuated by. I don't know, I just really liked having his attention. And so that was kind of my first very intimate experience with him, which was also very awkward because my parents were at that party, you know. Pretty sure my mum rang me at one point during him and I like kissing to see where I was. And I was like, I'm just outside hanging out with friends. Sorry, Mom. I was in the backseat of my friend's car. Oh my God, backpedaling now. Went to a party a few weeks later, and the guy who tried to kiss me at first party, where he got into like a little kerfuffle with my other friend, like, and my friend got protected of me, that guy tried to kiss me, and then new guy was all like, I don't want you seeing other guys. And I was like, but we're not anything. What do you mean? Just mixed signals. I also note a few times at these parties, my friend and I, who is a girl, where we've started to become those girls that like kiss. Like, it's literally a peck, but like, it's like, oh my God, they kissed. I kind of hate that I was that girl, because like, it was just an attention thing. It wasn't like anything else involved, and it's like, it's very cringe now. It's funny, like, she and I laugh about it all the time. Would probably still kiss again if I saw her as a joke, but like, yeah, you know, it was just definitely an attention thing, and it happened at like every party, and I'll discuss it later on as well. So basically, I just keep going on. Like, this guy and I just keep hooking up at different parties. Like, one time we were in a tent, and I think I'm starting to kind of get that impression that like it's going to lead somewhere. And I think like, because I was very innocent, I just didn't know what to do. Like, I was like, I'm not skilled in this nature of things. I don't know what to do. But yeah, that's life, I guess. Jesus bloody Christ, I sound like a freaking hussy. So later on, like, this guy and I have still been hooking up for ages. We almost go all the way. It doesn't happen. I discussed this in an episode about rejection, Heartbreak Hotline. I discussed it in that, because it was like my first real feeling of rejection. Discussed when we ended things, and then like a week later, my friend and I gate crash a party at my neighbor's house, and it was like a spa party. And you wouldn't believe it, I hooked up with the guy who had been trying to get with me from the start, who my friend was being protective of because they were friends, and he was like, no, don't get with him. I ended up hooking up with him. And you know what? It wasn't so bad, because at least he and, like, it wasn't just a random hookup, and it wasn't out of revenge. He and I did kind of like see each other on and off for a while. So it wasn't like I did it with poor intentions. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of the drama that continues from here, it's all because of guys getting in the way of the strong female friendships that we had in my group. So my friend and I had a really big falling out. And when I say really big, I'm talking like it felt catastrophic at that point in time. So we were at the pub. She thought I was flirting with her ex-boyfriend. I wasn't. I literally just was giving him $5 to get me a drink because he was at the front of the line. Sorry, I had to give in that detail. Apparently, I'm really holding on to that or something. But anyway, it was really messy. She and I had like a huge falling out, and she ended up getting with the guy who I'd just stopped seeing, who I had all those feelings for and who I'd felt rejection from. And like, she did that in spite of me. And then I didn't know about it until after he and I had hooked up again. And I was like, wait, what? So, like, that's a real shame. Like, she and I are really good friends now. And, like, maybe she can come on for an episode and we can talk about this kind of stuff in future. Because, honestly, like, we'll probably find it amusing these days that even happened in the first place. But, like, I feel like every drama that I've got written down is due to a guy coming between us. Like, with all my girlfriends. And I feel like that's also, like, to do with a lot of insecurity that you feel in high school. And, like, male validation felt like it was, like, necessary to have, when it really wasn't. Like, none of us needed these guys in our lives, but we just kind of talked ourselves into believing we did. And what made it worse is those guys also made us believe that we did. And it gets worse from here. So I'm graduating, markup day's happening, all the year 12s get super pissed. We go to the local pub for dinner, go to an after party. Turns out the guy who I'd been seeing, who'd hooked up with my friend, kind of in spite of me, even though I literally hadn't done anything wrong. He was the one who kind of left me at the time. But anyway, so he had admitted that he wanted to get back with me, and I was just kind of like trying to play it off like, I don't give a fuck about you anymore. And then so instead he hooked up with my friend again, and like another girl, like making sure that I was like witnessing the whole thing. And I was just kind of like, that's just gross behavior. Like, that's just gross behavior. I'm reading it now and I'm like, honestly, I forgot about all of this, but I'm like reading it. I'm like, ew, year 12s are really fucked in the head. Ugh. And then to make matters worse, on the day of muck-up day, probably one of the most, well, I wouldn't say embarrassing, like, I laugh about it, but, like, some of the stuff, just cringe, just very cringe. I was very hungover on muck-up day. I hope the photos that are out there from this muck-up day are nowhere to be seen on the internet, because for some reason the photographer decided to really aim the camera at me that day, and you can see it in my eyes. But, like, oh, it's bad. Anyway, so the school gave out like different awards. They were like voted upon by your fellow year 12s. So everyone graduating got an award, and they either read it in front of the entire year 12 cohort or in front of the whole school. But the whole school ones were limited. So mine got read out in front of all of the year 12 cohort, and they gave me the Backseat Bandit Award for spending most of my 18th birthday in the backseat of a car. Yikes. Like, that's yikes. And everyone was like, ooh. And I was like, it's just kissing, guys. Not that it matters, but still, I was like, yikes. But then my friend Rhiannon, shout out Rhiannon, who she and I had been pashing the whole year. This is honestly kind of iconic. Hers got read out at the assembly, and hers was the Katy Perry Award. And whilst they read this out, it was a full cinematic experience. This is in front of the whole school, all the teachers, all the parents of all the year 12s. Her award, the Katy Perry Award for kissing Tilly Johnson at every party and enjoying it, gets read out. I Kissed a Girl starts playing. She walks up to me in front of the whole school and like full snogs me in front of God knows how many people. And you know what? Iconic. Slay, Rhiannon. Slay. But God, I hate how on again, off again this whole thing was with this guy, because now I'm reading it again. Like, muck-up day, he wanted to get with me. I said no. Graduation celebration day, he wanted to get with me again. I basically was like, I can't do this anymore. Said no. And then he got pissy as fuck. Hooked up with my friend again. Oh, yikes. And then year 12 graduation formal happened, and again he met up with me after the formal and wanted to get with me again, and I was just like, it's so on again, off again. You know what, if you're in any situation where it's that on again, off again, just leave it, girl. Or guy, if you're listening, like, if anyone's in this situation, I'm telling you now, it's not worth it unless you genuinely think they're going to be the love of your life. I'm gonna tell you now, they're probably not, because if they don't understand, like, or like can fully conceptualize like how they feel for you, then it's not really going to last very long. Oh my God, and then I don't really have any more diary entries after that. It's all just kind of quotes from songs I like. Ew. That's a shame, because I enjoyed the drama. I feel like the early days where it's like really sweet and innocent stuff is like the most interesting stuff. Unfortunately for my high school experience, like, of course, like it happens with growing up though, like moving schools is where like things became a bit more interesting in terms of like discovering sexuality and stuff like that. But also that just came along with so much drama. Like, I feel like some people have it smooth sailing with these things and they're the lucky ones. But like the drama itself, it kept things interesting, but like it also is sad that like a majority of the drama that ever happened between my girlfriends and I was often caused by like the men in our lives. And like, luckily all of us girls are now like strong enough to realize that like they were the problem, men were the problem, because we're all really good friends now, and like we're able to move past those things. And of course, like, those guys, like, they literally don't matter to us anymore. Like, yeah, I'm very interested to see what our high school reunion would look like. To my friends who have listened to this podcast episode, maybe we should organize it just for content. Let's just organize one. I was going to add to that, actually. I finished recording and then I listened back and I was like, oh my God, I didn't even tell the main part. It wasn't until after graduation happened that I found out about this thing. Like, it was kind of like a little black book, but it was like a little black Google Doc that all the boys in our year level had made, where it was basically a ranking system. And I know it's not like the first time you hear about this happening in a school, but they made a ranking system of all the girls in the year level and also other year levels who they'd been hooking up with. which is absolutely putrid. And I hate that, like, this is a thing that you hear about happening all the time, especially in, like, all boys schools, but also, like, in normal public schools as well. So there was a ranking system, and I found out whereabouts I ranked. And I found out that because I had said no to re-hooking up with this guy multiple times, and because I had exposed another guy in the year level for attempting to assault me and sexually harassing me and doing other things in the meantime, I'd exposed him as well. Due to all of this, I had basically been named, like, a good hookup, but a tease and, like, hard to get through to, or something like that. Like, but, like, in more grotesque terms, if you know what I mean. I'm pretty sure the term was too quick to say no. I think, like, that's what my label was, too quick to say no. Which is so fucked up, because it's like I'm literally utilizing my rights as a human to say no and give consent, and they were saying I'm too quick to do so. So that's why, like, men in high school really fucked with me. Like, that's, like, something that is so hard to move past, the fact that, like, it's not just, like, one person. There's multiple guys who are like, she will say no to you before anything happens. And it's like, well, yeah, like, I should be allowed to do that. Like, that's really fucked up. I feel like there's so much more. Like, there was definitely a lot of stuff in that diary that I could have exposed more or gone deeper within. But, like, what's the point of doing that when, like, we could just make more episodes? Like, we could definitely dive into this. I would love to talk to, like, some of the girls on the podcast who, like, we had dramas, like, with, like, that'd be fun. Like, my girlfriends who, like, Rhiannon should come on here and talk about, like, all the parties she threw and, like, all the drama that happened at the parties. Rhiannon, if you're listening, hit me up. That'll be fun. Or, like, the girl who hooked up with the guy and who I had the falling out with, and, like, there was the rumor about me and her ex as well. Like, we both know none of that's true. But, like, that would be fun to, like, dive into and discover, like, where all of that insecurity within ourselves came from for us to, like, turn ourselves into issues with each other, you know? Like, I feel like that does come from insecurity, though, for us to have created drama together over guys. Like, I feel like we must have just not felt very secure. You know what I should do? I should get the guy on who was the first boyfriend. That would be funny. Oh my god. And I'll just cry while listening to Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. No, he definitely wouldn't want to come on. He would not want to come on. It would be funny for me, but I don't think we'll be hearing from him anytime soon. The episode. I've had fun. It's 3 a.m. now. I need to go to bed. I'll probably have to edit this down because I literally read my whole diary. And there's probably, like, I'll probably wake up tomorrow morning and be like, I don't want to have that part read out on my podcast. Might burn the diary after this, actually. It's probably time. It's time to say goodbye. But yeah, now you guys know the exposed truths of my high school experience. I am sorry that I put you all through this. I promise, though, that next week we are having our first guest. I'm very excited for this. I'm beyond excited. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Somebody who I care about very deeply, somebody I love, somebody who inspires me very much. I'll leave it at that. But I hope you enjoyed listening to today's messy episode so you can hear all about my messy adolescence. All right. Thanks, guys. Love you. Don't play Thinking Out Loud.